Alright, so hello everybody. My name is Perez. Instagram page is REZ1K, and I'm going to be talking to you all a little bit about photography, a little bit of introduction, and from somebody that's been doing it for about 2 years. So I'm not a huge professional. I'm still a hobbyist. Made a little bit of money from it, but it's pretty fun, and I would like to share with the rest of the world what I have acquired over these past 2 years. So number one, don't mind your equipment. Don't say, I have this, only I don't have all this, and I can't go ahead and take this photo. The most important thing is that you're actually getting out and shooting. That's number one. Almost pretty much carry your camera on you if you're serious about it. You never know what you'll be able to find. One time when I was living in Las Vegas, I went to an event, and there was a New Year's parade that popped up out of the blue. I mean, it was probably in the news, but I just didn't know about it or really read about it. And I probably got some of the best photos that I've ever taken during that time. So make sure that you just get out there and shoot. That's number one. Number two, the next important thing is making sure that you have your camera settings set on RAW. Like when you're editing your photos, just go forth and pull out more data. It holds more data, so when you're pulling out the blues or the blacks or certain colors, it's pulling only that color and not the other colors. So when you go forth and do like a JPG, it compresses it compresses your photos and images. So when it does this, it kind of merges some of the data together. To what extent, I personally don't know, but only thing I can tell you is you can see a huge difference. So make sure you're doing that. So the next thing, number three, the very next thing is going to be your three main settings. This is going to be your ISO, know your aperture, and know your shutter speed. Those are pretty important. There are some things that you'll get used to and you know what you may have in mind, but a good starting point, if you're in the sunlight, go ahead and set your ISO to probably about 100, and then you want to probably set your shutter speed to about 1/125th. So I mean, depending on if it's really, really bright, you may have to bump the shutter speed up to 1/400th. That may be a little bit better if you're trying to go for a wide open like aperture, like a 1.4, 1.2, or 1.8. You have to compensate to bring the light down. So ISO low, aperture, you can play around with that depending on what you're shooting for. And then also your shutter, you're gonna change that based off of what you're shooting for. So if you want a longer exposure, you want that a lot shorter. So 1/60 is a lot slower than 1/1000th. So just keep an eye on that. So it's number three. And our next important fact, number four, that is going to be make sure that you're meeting people and networking. In order for you to progress and kind of move, I'm not going to say move up, but just to meet more people, more models, you have to meet people. That's the most important thing. So go to events, go and meet people. All right, so go to events, meet people, meet the locals. That's real important. When you get your name out there with the locals and you start working on stuff, you start getting gigs, you'll get people to pull you to things that you typically can't go to. I mean, that's the best thing, network. Meet people of all ages. Don't say because you're only 18 or you're 26, you can't really hang out with these people that's 35, 42. Get out there and actually do that. You'll be surprised, people that's not in your age group are real cool. And the fifth and very last point that I would like to bring is start printing your photos as soon as possible. So even though I've been doing photography roughly 2 years, I recently started printing my photos, and now it kind of just changed my whole mind and perspective of when I take photos. I cannot speak of how important this is to anybody that's starting off, regardless of any level. If you have not printed any one of your photos yet, I encourage that you do so as soon as possible. You'll kind of see why it's really important to shoot at higher, shutter speeds when you're making large prints, or just a lot of different things like that. So, also, this is one of my photos. To see it on actual paper, something physical, and then when other people see it, they ask you questions, they talk about it, and even sometimes they request to buy prints. So, I mean, that's a real cool aspect of photography that just gives you a different perspective or a different idea of getting out there, showing your work, and instead of just posting them for likes. This is a completely different perspective that I highly encourage everybody to do. So once again, thank you for viewing in. Instagram page is res1k_. Feel free to send me a message on there, send me a message on here, leave comments, feel free to subscribe. We'll see if it goes up there later on. And thank you. Have a good day. Hope to hear from you all.